A very good morning to all of you. New day and new session. Before we start with the new session, I just want to know if you have any confusion related to what is intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Because today we are going to discuss about the types of intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. But for that, we need to be very much clear about what is intrinsic motivation and what is extrinsic motivation. So today we will just start with a quick briefing of what is intrinsic and what is extrinsic motivation. The meaning of motivation is very much clear that what is employee motivation, the things which motivates an employee, the things which keeps the employee motivated to give good results, to produce effective and efficient result, that is employee motivation. And there are many different ways of motivating your employee at workplace. So starting with a definition of employee motivation again. Employee motivation is defined as an enthusiasm, energy level, commitment, and the amount of creativity that an employee brings to the organization on a daily basis. So it's not something which is required by the employee just for once, twice, once in a week, once in a month, or whenever you want to get some task done. It is something which is bringing the employee to the organization on daily basis. The employee doesn't keep on looking at the calendar to check when he or she is getting a day off. That is not employee motivation. If the employee is motivated, he will love his work, he'll love to come to office until and unless there is no emergency due to which he has to take a day off. So it is something which brings the employee to the organization with full of commitment, energy level, enthusiasm, and lot of creativity. It is all about how engaged an employee feels about the organizational goals and how empowered he or she feels. So how engagement, how we bring engagement in the for the employees by involving them in decision making, by involving them in any kind of situations, feedbacks, decisions, solutions. When we keep on involving them for all these things, it motivates the employee. It make them feel that yes, they also are an internal part of the organization. So here it is very important that whenever we are calling the employees in the organization, they are motivated and they stay motivated. If they will be motivated, they'll be giving you good results. They'll be efficient in working. They'll work with zeal, with enthusiasm, with commitment. They'll be committed to what they are doing. And for making them feel all these things, you need to make them feel that yes, you are an important part of the organization, and we as a I as a manager, and we as an organization, we all value your work. We value your presence in the organization. You have to make them feel this way, and this is really very important. Motivation is intangible, difficult to measure, and extremely difficult to control, but very easy to facilitate if done right. Yes, you cannot measure them, you cannot see them. It is intangible. It is very difficult to measure that at what level you are motivated, up to what extent you are motivated. We cannot measure that thing. And again, if you cannot measure, then how can you control that? Definitely you cannot control. So measurability, control is definitely very difficult, but it's very easy to motivate a person if it's done right. If you know your individual, if you know that what things motivate that person, it becomes really very easy to facilitate that, to start motivating your employees and to get the things done right. Now here, what are the two different types of motivation? The categories, what comes in intrinsic motivation, what comes in extrinsic motivation. We will be discussing about the types of intrinsic and extrinsic motivation in today's session. But let's just understand again, what is intrinsic motivation? Intrinsic. What are the words such as intrinsic? In, that means within, from inside. That's what the word says, in intrinsic motivation. So right, as you can see in the picture also, I have used a picture which says that intrinsic motivation is something in our head. So that is coming from inside. So intrinsic motivation means that the individual motivational stimuli are coming from within. So these motivational stimuli, these are all the motivations, are coming from inside. They are not coming from outside. They are not affected by, a person is not motivated by what is going around him, what uh, what outside benefits he is going to get. He feels motivated from within, from inside. Now, how he feel motivated? Like, what are some examples of a deep-rooted desire that have highest motivational power? What are those things which have highest motivational power? First says acceptance. You get motivated when people accept you. You get motivated when they are happy to have you around them. When people accept you the way you are, they value you. And that is the time you get motivated. So that is acceptance. When people accept you, you get motivated with that. Then comes honor. We all want that respect, honor in the society, within the organization, from our peer group, from the subordinate, from the leaders, from the managers, everyone, whosoever come across, we want them to honor us, we want them to respect us. That is again one of the form of intrinsic motivation that motivates you. These things, no, they have the highest power of motivation. If you get this, you will get motivated a lot. Independence. How independent they have made you to work. You know, micromanagement is something which doesn't allow you to work in your own way. And that is micromanagement. So here, people don't like to go with micromanagement. They want to go with some independence, some freedom, which they get to do their work. There are different types of leaders we have studied, right? There are different types of leader like bureaucratic, autocratic, then transformational, transactional. Transformational leadership style is something where they give freedom to the followers to work in their own specific way. Right? They give that freedom to them. And that is the independence which employee want in the organization. You know, employee want that I should be allowed to work in my way. They want the task to be given to them. They want everything to be done. But the independence, like if I want to do it in this way, if I want to do it at that point of time, that independence should be given to use his own knowledge, skill. Maybe you will get something good if you work in that direction, if you allow them to work in that specific manner, right? So it is very important for all to allow the employees to do the work in their own specific way. That independence is required, and it again acts as a motivation. Order. Order and power works together. Like when you have the power, you have the right to give orders also. So when you have some people are motivated from within, right? I'm talking about internal motivation. They are motivated if they get the chance to use their power to order other person. They get motivated in that manner. So here, what is important? The important part is if you want to retain an employee who is motivated by power, you need to bring him in powerful situation. Maybe you can make him as a leader. Maybe you can make him as a manager, a power holding, a position which has power where he can order other person. That's exactly what he want from, that's what exactly which motivates him to give the results. Social contact, again, for some, it can be a factor which motivates them to work in the organization. That is the social factors. Then, last comes is social status. What is your status in the society? That again act as a very important thing within the organization, that yes, this is my social status and it motivates me. Now, this was all about social status and extrinsic motivation. Let's see what is intrinsic motivation. Now, what is extrinsic motivation? What is extrinsic motivation? Intrinsic was something coming from within. That was our individual choice which was motivating us. What is extrinsic motivation? Extrinsic motivation is something, as you can see in the picture. Just try to observe what you can see. Things from outside are motivating a person, like stars, recognition, idea generation, appreciation, money, a trophy, a person, a manager appreciating, recognizing them. So these are all the things which act as an extrinsic motivation for the employees in the organization. This is something which you get from the external world, like from the organization, from your managers. So these benefits act as a motivation source for the employees to come in the organization, to work with efficiency in the organization. That is extrinsic motivation. Then comes, like in extrinsic motivation, what exactly it is? Means that the individual motivational stimuli are coming from outside. The motivational stimuli are not coming from within. They are coming from the outside source, from outside external environment. That is extrinsic motivation. A desire to perform a task are controlled by an outside source. So that is how our desire is controlled. That is how we control our desire, that yes, these sources are motivating me and I am willing to give my more efficiency, more productivity, more dedication, more commitment to the organization for getting those things. That is outside motivation, external motivation. Now, some examples of extrinsic motivation says Employee of the Month Award. If you get this Employee of the Month Award, you have the policy of recognizing one employee every month for the best performance. That is Employee of the Month Award. So now you give your best to achieve that thing. Now that Employee of the Month Award, you just in your dream see that thing, that yes, I want that award for myself, and for that you feel motivated because you want that, and then you start giving your efficiency, your best productivity in order to achieve that in your life. That is Employee of the Month Award. benefit packages. If you get any kind of benefit package, if you get any kind of like vouchers, or maybe a trip for outside, a tour, travel, anything. These are the benefit package which you get and you feel motivated that yes, I want these benefit packages and I am going to give my best to achieve these things. That is benefit packages. Bonus, we all work hard, because many times it is said that bonus will be depend on the performance you are giving. As per your performance, you will get the bonus. So again, this is very important. This plays a very important role in motivating you that yes, I want to get that bonus. Again, it's important. Then comes this organized activity. In the organization, if they have a very formal chain where informal communication is allowed, they have good social culture, people interact with each other, the activities are also organized. Like any random day, any day, a new thing doesn't come up to your desk. If you have been assigned a task, you just keep focus on those specific tasks only. Now you'll be working for this. That thing doesn't happen. So this is organized activity. If you have all these things in the organization, then yes, you are being motivated by the external factors which are around you within your organization and helps you to give your best. Okay. Now we are going to talk about the different types of intrinsic motivation. So what are the different types of intrinsic motivation? What do you think? Right now we have discussed about some of the examples, but I want you to tell me the different types of intrinsic motivation. What do you think as per you, the factors, the internal factors which can motivate you? No answer? Okay. The first intrinsic motivation is competence motivation. What is competence motivation? What is competence motivation? Competence motivation is driven by curiosity, willingness to know more or have more skills. A competence means a competition. A competition is being generated within yourself to learn new skills, to learn more, to be expert in your area. That curiosity, the curiosity of learning new things, the curiosity of gaining more knowledge, the curiosity of being best. That is competence motivation. Now here, it can be if he see a skill in some other person, maybe his peer group, he sees some specific skill. He just get that motivation to learn that skill. He's motivated by that skill that yes, now I want to learn that skill. I want to have the complete knowledge of that skill. So it is willingness to know more and have some skills. This kind of motivation is also known as learning motivation. Learning motivation here because you'll be learning new things. You learn new skills. You upgrade your knowledge. For example, there is a new technology which you have seen, like the new technology, the new way of working is coming in the market. You'll be like competent. You just want to learn that new skill. You want to master that skill. And that comes under competence motivation, which is also known as learning motivation. You know why this competence motivation is important? Like why people want to have this competence motivation? What's the reason? Because this, if you upgrade your skill, if you get additional degree, there are more chances of for you to get promoted even. Yes. Promotion happens because of the skills gained in it is a plus point, but was not the primary goal. Now here you get a promotion. Okay, but that the promotion didn't motivate you. That was not your primary goal when you were learning a new skill, when you were upgrading your knowledge. Here, your main goal was to learn new skill, to learn new, to gain more knowledge about something, to upgrade your knowledge. That was your main and ultimate goal, the primary focus. But because of upgradation, if you get promotion, that becomes your secondary goal, because you were not working for that. That promotion did motivated you. Next, what is the example of competence motivation? What can you think? What do you think? What can be the example? What can be any example? And come up with any of the examples. So example can be a technical person, a software engineer. For him, a new technology, a new software came in the market and you just want to learn about that. Okay. A person, a salesperson, like let's say the example which is written over here. When an employee spares his free time to learn something like a new skill, whenever he get a free time, or he just try to manage some free time from his busy schedule, from the schedule which he has for the day, to learn something new, to learn a new skill, to gain new knowledge, to upgrade his knowledge, to go for some specific courses, that is an example of competence motivation. Yeah. It can be a salesperson who is learning new techniques, new sales techniques, or a designer learning new framework. It can be anyone. A salesperson learning new sales skill, a designer learning new framework, a marketing person learning new marketing strategies, applying new marketing strategies, a interior designer coming up with new, innovative, creative designs, a fashion designer, bringing something new. For that, he's learning something new. He's learning about two different fabrics, how I can mix those fabrics, how I can mix two different outfits and make something different. A jewelry designer trying to learn about the new techniques of designing the jewelry. These all are comes under competence motivation, where you keep your mind open to learn new things and enhance your knowledge in a new direction. Is simply being a learner bank. Learner bank, who's a learner bank? A person who keeps on learning. For him, learning never stops. You know, basically, it is actually true that if you want to grow, in your organization, if you want to grow in your career, you should always keep on learning. You should upgrade your knowledge, because what you have learned when you were in your college days has changed a lot in last 5 or 10 years. For example, when I cleared my college, it was almost 10 years back. But the theories, the strategies, the way of working, which I was being taught at that time, is entirely different from what I'm doing right now. Don't you think that competence motivation was seen in many of the employees during this challenging pandemic situation? Many people who have never used technology, maybe some people who have not even used the laptop, they don't know how to turn on the laptop, now are very familiar with all the features of laptop. How? For some, it can be the need of hour. So the one who just took it as a need of an hour, they simply learned the basic things. They didn't gain the expert knowledge, right? But for one, for whom it was competence motivation, for whom it was a scene where if others know, why can't I? I'm going to learn this technology because I want to. For them, you will see now, seeing those person, you can never say that they are the person who have never used these devices ever. In this pandemic, there are many people who have really been motivated by this learning motivation, this competence motivation, and have learned new skills, new ways, new pattern of working. It's not just about the people learning technology, being technology free. It's also about leaders learning new skills to manage their virtual team. Managers, organization, learning new ways of giving motivation, bringing people together, motivating them, making them work efficiently, controlling them. All these things the organization managers are doing, and for doing those things, they are regularly upgrading themselves in the knowledge. They are regularly learning something new. Here you'll find some example of the managers or leaders who were able to manage their team effectively because they learned and developed those skills. But for some, they're just trying to work and they're just waiting for this pandemic to get over. And here it is very important to upgrade everything. Even there was an upgrade in the technology, right? Which we were using. So it is competence motivation because of competence, out of curiosity, out of your willingness to learn new things, to upgrade your knowledge. This motivation comes to learn something new. Creative motivation. What is creative motivation? Here, it's a motivation where motivation is often known to be promoted by a sense of wanting to say or express something. Here, what you want, you are basically willing to say something, to express something, to share your idea, to share your creativity, to share your innovation with other people. So basically here you are being prompted, you are being triggered by your creative. All of a sudden you got a very good idea and you think this idea can give lot of growth to the organization, can make organization achieve new heights. So you just want to express that thing, you just want to share that thing with your team. That is creative motivation. It could be in the form of words, art, song, business, production, but it always starts from trying to express oneself. Now here there is no such thing which says it is in the form of words only or it is in the form of business only. No, it can be anything. It can be even in the form of organizing some funfair, games, team building activities for the within the organization for the team members. So it can be in any form. So, but basic thing is, it always starts with expressing oneself. Like you will have to express yourself that this is my idea. On this, I want to work. So that is what here it comes. Like here, you just want to express an idea. You just want to share your idea of doing something which can ultimately give good results to the organization. It could be in the form of words, art, song, business, production, etc. Now, what are the examples of this type of motivation? What do you think? What can be the example of creative motivation? Creative motivation, this type of motivation
is the urge to write a book or a poem. Even if it doesn't get to the end of the earth or doesn't get published, there's always the fulfillment of penning those sentiments into words. Now, all of a sudden, you are motivated by uh, just by that I want to write a book. I want to be a writer. Now, here for you, it's not going to matter whether you are going to complete the book or whether the book is going to get published or people are going to like your book or not. For you, how your motivation will be fulfilled that yes, I have started writing a book, I have written a book, I have written a poem, and that when you are writing down your sentiments into words, your motivation is fulfilled. Same way, in the organization, if you have come up with a new way of marketing your product, now new way of marketing your product, how it will work? You just want to share that idea. You're okay if no one, if the management is not accepting that idea, but yes, if you have shared that idea, if people have just told you that okay, the idea is good, but let's check whether it's going to work for this product or not, you are happy. The part is done, your creative motivation is fulfilled. That is the fulfillment of your creative motivation. When you express yourself, when you present yourself, your motivation is fulfilled. This motivation doesn't depend on completing the work, on getting the work selected, on getting the idea selected. If we are talking about the book, it doesn't depend on the likes, reviews, or publicizing the book. It only depends upon that you have expressed yourself, you have written your sentiments on in a book on the paper. That's what it's concentrate about, and that's what it matters. So this is the creative motivation. Now, what's the difference between creative and competence motivation? Competence motivation, what did we learn? It comes out of curiosity, learning new knowledge, sharing, gaining new experience, upgrading yourself, upgrading your skills, upgrading your knowledge. So basically, it talks about your learning. But here, creative motivation is something where you are using those knowledge, you are using maybe your passion, your skill, your learning, you are using that thing to express yourself. It's all about expressing, and that is all about learning. So that's the difference between competitive and creative motivation, that focuses on learning, gaining new things that is going inside. Okay, you are getting something inside you, but creativity is you are bringing something from inside which you have got by that learning. Maybe your learning motivation, your competence motivation motivated you to learn how to write a book. How to write a book. You have done deep research, you have gone through each and every small point, how to be an author, how to write a book, what all things are required, how to present yourself. You have taken a deep knowledge, deep learning about that thing. So that comes in competitive motivation because they were learning. Now, creative motivation comes when you were researching about that thing, when you were fulfilling your competence motivation, all of a sudden, it came in your mind that I want to write a book on my life story, on my life. I have really gone through lot of up and down struggles, and now I am having a very settled life. So I want to share that thing with people. I want to write that thing. So here, that competence motivation, which motivated to you to learn how to write a book, has now turned to creative motivation, where it motivates you to use your knowledge and write your book. So that is creative motivation. So only one thing you can understand by both of these terms is that is learning is competence motivation and expressing is creative motivation. There are a lot of motivation, lot of intrinsic motivation, which we will be discussing in the future session of employee motivation. But till then, if you have any doubt related to intrinsic, extrinsic motivation or creative and competence motivation, please ask. Okay. Okay, let me give you some more example of creative motivation. All of a sudden, you are motivated that now I want to drive a car. I want to learn how to drive a car. Yes. So now when learn comes, that becomes your competence motivation. Right. But now you're driving the car. Here, the aim of driving when you are going into a race, okay, you are going into the race, you want to participate in car racing. Here, the competence motivation will be fulfilled if you participate and if you complete the race. Your creative motivation is fulfilled. But, but, it has nothing to do with winning or losing. Even if you lose, for you, that creative motivation is fulfilled. So that is the difference between creative and competence motivation. I hope both the types of motivation are very clear. So you can simply relate with two things. Creative motivation is expressing and competence motivation is learning. That's the only difference between both of them. So with this, we have come to the end of the session. Now, in the next session, we will be discussing about more types of intrinsic motivation and employee motivation. So bye-bye, take care. See you after 10 minutes. We have the next session at 9:50 and that is self-leadership. I'll see you at